Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Big and Tiny podcast. It is me and Vicky, Mr. Big, Mrs. Tiny. Uh, and today we're talking about more shit, just having a small conversation then about more trends that we're sort of seeing in the industry at the minute, which is always fun. It's basically a big gossip session, this really, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is to be fair, but that's how we roll throughout everything. A YouTube video, we gossip, we chat shit, but we still train a little bit. And on these ones, we just kind of like highlight certain things and delve into lots of other bits as we go along and give out some free knowledge bombs. So, why not? But we were just talking about things in the industry that kind of doing their full circle. Like if we look back to 2 years ago, nobody was really talking about gut health. Nobody was really interested in gut health. It was just like eat big to get big, and it doesn't matter if you're a bloated fat potato all the way throughout your off season. And then all of a sudden, it kind of came into the people's eye line, and people started saying that their gut was a little bit more important. So, what was the first thing that people did?
We eat shed loads of kimchi.
Yeah, just throwing kimchi into every single.
Kimchi and kombucha and
Yeah,
anything that's fermented, apart from beer.
yeah, exactly. But that's what they did. And they didn't quite understand the mechanisms behind what kimchi actually does. Now, kimchi is a really, really valuable source that you can use as long as you don't have any kind of bacterial overgrowth in your small intestine as it is. If you do, or also known as SIBO, but if you do have something like consistent bloating, you feel overly full all the time, your hunger levels are obviously through the floor and that kind of thing, you're maybe having sulfur burps. This is a big one when people are on retatrutide. They do have a lot of sulfur burps because of the aspect that they actually slow down the digestive system, they slow down the peristalsis of the bowel itself. And because of that, they have an overproduction of stool that they're not obviously getting rid of, right? So it starts to ferment. Well, if you put fermentation on top of an already fermented bowel, all you're going to do is make it worse. So the crowd who just kind of said, "Oh, I've got gut issues, I've got bloating, or I'm shitting through the eye of a needle every 9 minutes," just adding kimchi into every meal is just doing yourself a disservice. So you don't want to be doing that one. But all of a sudden now, people are now starting to take on again this whole social media thing of gut health being a priority, which is great because obviously I've been talking about it for a decade. So it's nice that obviously people are starting to do it. However, what we have noticed is fiber coming back and saying you need more fiber in your diet. You need more fiber in your diet because bodybuilders are notorious for just eating cream of rice, chicken and rice, beef and potatoes, not a
What?
lot. Mm. But now what we're getting into is this whole aspect of volume eating, volume eating because you are consistently hungry. Now, your plate should not look like a wee bit of protein or your amount of protein that you're going to be having. 99% of people are still eating a bucket load, like an entire chicken worth of protein,
Yeah.
with a few potatoes and then this monstrous, huge amount of vegetables with a shitload of kimchi on and all the rest of it. Every meal shouldn't look like that. You should be able to spread out your fiber and your fermented vegetables evenly throughout the course of the day. And the reason being for this is because otherwise you're just going to back up your gut and you're still going to fermentally overload that bowel. So gut health is massively important, but people are just kind of going the whole more is more idea again.
I think when you get into that as well as people not wanting to feel hungry and they've found a route out, like, oh, I'll just eat shed loads of salad.
Mm.
You've got to think as bodybuilding as a sport, and part of the sport is the look, or the main part of it is the look. So if you're terrified of being hungry all the time and you do things to try and stop that, you will impact how you look. So, especially we've all done the eat too much salad and feel like crap for 3 days.
Mm.
And then you go, I'm eating too much salad. I should probably stop doing this. So then you have to go, okay. And then the bloating subsides and you feel a lot better. And you're like, okay. The thing is with overeating like that as well is you'll still feel hungry.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Because
Now
it's
you
not.
just now you just feel bloated as well.
Yeah, yeah. Lettuce is not satiating by any stretch of the imagination. Neither are tomatoes and neither is cucumber. So, and salad's even worse than vegetables, really, because they're raw. So you're not actually
Hard to
cooking
break down.
anything. Yeah, it's a lot harder to break down. So, all of you bikini girls where they're just eating, chicken and a little bit of lettuce all the time, these are the ones that you see having quite a lot of digestive issues. And then
Yeah.
you've got the flip side of the coin where you've got your heavyweights or your super heavyweights and they're not eating any fucking vegetables or any fruit because they're saying, oh, I'm too full from the amount of potatoes that I've got to fucking eat. So, it's trying to find the adequate balance in terms of food volume. Like, let's take you through an example. You started to drop weight, so you started to adapt because you were highly stressed. Your stress stimulus was the fact that you were holding on to weight, and it was negative weight. You were just watery.
Mm.
And you didn't look that great, to be perfectly honest with you, because your body looked stressed and it looked tired. So the minute we obviously took that stress away, big bonus, happy days, things started to subside. But then you started dropping weight quite quickly, even with the increase of gear and the small increases of food that obviously I gave you. Now, if you've been following Alex, you'll obviously understand that he took a little bit more of a relaxed kind of phase where his brain didn't want to macro track, it didn't want to stick to a meal plan, and that kind of thing. And I think it was good for you for that little
Yeah,
bit of a time.
it was ultimately useful.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
it was.
additional external stress also plays a role.
Indeed, yes, it does. So, having the idea that obviously we have your 5 meals now, but you can replace one of them with a snacker choice or, your ice cream and your cookies and that kind of stuff, the option is better. The
I
option
think,
is,
well, people as well, you have to be of a certain size to do that. If you give that to somebody who's like, 120 pounds wet through, they'll just get fat
oh, yeah.
because they'll be like, oh, I'll just have a Ben and Jerry's every day. And it's
Mm,
like, you're going to get fat.
yeah.
You don't have the metabolism, the muscle mass to warrant that. So,
No, absolutely.
and you don't train hard or heavy enough for that either.
Yeah,
So,
so
can't
consensus
do that.
is not going to be that great either. But having the option there for yourself is obviously a really good thing. But this is the reason as to why we give meals off plans to our clients, as opposed to obviously saying, if you want it, you can swap it in. Sometimes as like I give my ladies when they're coming up to their menstrual cycle, I give them an additional kind of like calorie buffer. So their calorie buffer can be, I mean, it ranges per person, right? So somebody might have like 150 calories, another person might have 350 calories. It doesn't particularly matter. But I give them a calorie buffer throughout that menstrual cycle element because one, you're going to be depleting a shitload more minerals because you bleed. So you're going to lose a lot more from that perspective. And if you are on already a lower calorie intake, then your mineral and your electrolyte balance is also going to be depleted. So we want to make sure that those are up. So for a Menzies kind of bump or an addition, I just basically stipulate you can have up to and including 250 calories, as an example, on the days that you are coming over your bleed, okay, because of the fact that we do need it. But they have to come from carbs and fats. I don't want any additional protein going in because it doesn't derive you the energy. Okay, we've already got a baseline of protein. We're absolutely fine. This is just an addition that we're going to be putting on top of it. It also sorts out any kind of cravings. So if somebody wants a damn cookie and it's 300 calories, they can have it. Do you know what I mean? Because we've accounted for it.
That's a 1,000 calorie cookie.
No, no, not the cookie dealer ones. Those are 1,000 calories and
I've not seen anybody eat one of those recently. Like, I
oh,
haven't.
every bodybuilding show.
Still,
Yeah, yeah, they're at every bodybuilding show with those.
I've not seen anybody. I mean, I haven't watched enough content clearly, but I've not seen anybody doing the whole like, yeah, let's have a cookie dealer immediately after the show. I've not seen it.
No,
Maybe it's because as when you're pro, nobody does that.
no, I suppose they don't do that. You
You
just go
just
out
go
and
out
repeat.
to a restaurant because you've already had to load to get full,
Yeah,
especially in classic. So it's like, yeah, I've already eaten quite a lot.
yeah, that's actually that's a good point. So, looking at your load, do you know what? I did a consultation with somebody. He's a classic guy. And he is classic. He's very nice. And he was saying to me, what really interested me was your peaking techniques. Because I saw Alex's Phil they have eaten, for your peak and your load when we were in Germany. And like I said to you, you needed to have like 200 grams of Ben and Jerry's and a couple of cookies and stuff like that. And he says, I've never seen somebody approach it that way. And I said, please don't come to me for coaching if you think that you're going to get cookies and ice cream. Because that is what
But
people
I wanted.
But you know what? People expect that. And I use that kind of method very, very sparingly. People just think that I just load my athletes on shit and they get this great kind of fucking pump. And that's not the case at all. Obviously with Alex, well, I'm going to talk to you as opposed to third person. With you, I know your body and I know what you react to. So
I was
having
eating it every week leading
exactly.
into the show.
But that's the whole reason why we have specific off plans, So we actually say, have a meal off plan, tell me what it is. Feed back to me. Let me see what you're like after that off plan, all the way through off season, all the way through prep. And
Yeah.
this is a lot of people get it wrong, where they just kind of say, okay, no more meals off plan. And it's like, yeah, but why? You've been doing that every single week. And not only are you just taking away that meal off plan, which is also full of decent electrolytes, especially if you're not eating shit, and minerals and more nutrients that you can get in, it's also going to increase the dopamine response. So it's going to make you happy and rather
Relax.
relax, which is going to help recovery. But you're not just taking away that, you've also decreased the amount of calories that you're going to be taking in over the course of the week because you've started prep. So you've not only decreased it by, say, let's argument's sake, 800 calories, right, on a rest day, training day combined, right? So 400 calorie deficit per day, but then you're also taking out 1,100 to 1,500 calories based on a meal off plan.
So it's a lot more than you think.
Why the fuck do you think that your weight drops so fucking quick at the beginning of prep?
Yeah, and then it stalls, and you're like, I'm so tired.
Exactly. And then you're miserable. And then you say to your coach, can I have a meal off plan? They're like, no, this is prep, suck it up, mofo, and all the rest of it. That's not how the body works. It's not how mentality works. Yes, don't get me wrong. You can have some very low days. You can be emotional. And within that emotional kind of feeling, you can say, I feel like I want cookies and I feel like I want ice cream because that's your emotion speaking. It's not your physique and it's not your physiology speaking. There's a big difference. So it's a time and a place to actually use these particular loads, but it doesn't work for anybody or everybody. If I had that guy, I didn't take him on, by the way. No, it was one of those. I will not work with everybody. You know this anyway, because I tell you about it. I will consult a lot of people, but I will only work with specific people. And that guy, he just didn't tick the boxes for a collaboration between me and him, unfortunately. I did give him, some decent advice, but whatever. But if I gave him cookies and ice cream every single
With
week
some
or four,
pussy, is what you should say.
but he wanted it straight off the bat. He was just like, I want to prep and I want to do it like Alex. I was like, well, you're not going to be
Well,
able.
he's missed the at least one cigar a day. That's
Yeah, well,
obviously the actual magic. I mean, people ignoring the important stuff.
but people just look at the highlight reels again, see on Instagram, the cookies and ice cream for you work really well. You don't get gut distension. You get a great fucking pump. You look vascular, but it does come to a certain amount.
And it's also, I can't eat a giant main course before that.
Mm.
Like we would do like, I'd make a homemade meal, basically. I wouldn't get a Five Guys or have a pizza or
No.
anything like that. It was like, I'll have a small main and then have the thing I actually want. And it
Mm.
works. I'd have like the four cookies and a whole tub of Ben and Jerry's, and that was leading into that was just like normally off plan. And then
Mm.
obviously when we peaked me, it was like, right, halve that, don't
Yeah,
do all that at once.
too
And
much
you
ice
have to
cream.
listen. Whereas people who are like, no, I just want it now, they just eat the whole thing. You just, and then they're like, oh no, I fucked up. And you have to
Yeah.
be able to do that sensibly. Um,
You've got to train your physique in order to adapt to it. Because I
exactly.
know for myself, right, ice cream works really well for me, but cookies don't. I can load on ice cream, but it has to be a specific type of ice cream. I couldn't have Ben and Jerry's as an example because it'll blow me up and it'll make me feel sick. So I have to have a specific type of ice cream. I'm quite boring. But when it comes to other people, like some guys I load on just honey and jam. Some guys I load on crumpets. Some guys I won't actually load with any kind of shit, and they just have to have their main meals, their normal meals for show day, because I know that they respond well to it. So just because they see somebody doing it doesn't mean that everybody will respond to it. It comes down to a response.
Yeah, it's like exercises. Some guys can squat with a barbell and end up with giant quads, and then the rest of us end up with a huge butt.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's that same sort of like one size all does not fit.
No,
Same with the drugs, it's all the same. Digestion is not the same for everybody, hence why people have intolerances and allergies and this sort of thing. So if you're, oh, I really want to use ice cream with cookies, it's like, well, do you do that normally anyway? Has that worked for you before? That
mm.
can't magically make your gut want that, you know.
No, no,
Doesn't.
absolutely. No,
So
and actually, if you're not as insulin sensitive as you think that you can be, just because you're lean doesn't mean that you're insulin sensitive by any stretch. You can be insulin resistant and be fucking lean.
yeah. Well, you can be lean and still look like shit as well.
Yeah.
Not have the separated muscle, not have the like striations. So it's just, you could be holding more.
Yeah, loads. And the thing is with holding water, people say to me quite a lot, oh, I was holding water. I'm like, no, mate, you were still too fat.
Or it's just like, or you don't have that muscle.
Or you-
People there to me are all the time like, oh, how do you get those glutes? It's like being very hip dominant. Like and then also training the shit out of them for a while as well to make them as good as I could.
And
So
how many
it's,
guys don't actually directly train glutes as well, isn't it?
I think you get some guys are doing it now,
Yeah.
and then a lot of guys just kind of refuse, and they're like, "Oh, it'll be there on the day." And for some of them, it is, but they're also fucking huge.
Yeah.
If you are getting up to 300 pounds in the off season, it's quite rare you're not going to have a set of glutes because you're probably very strong. So it's a supporting muscle group a lot of the time for your squats and your leg presses. So you will
Well,
more
just
likely have,
walking around.
yeah. But when you've got guys who are like 200 pounds, you might not have any glutes.
No.
So
I had this conversation with Matt. So you've seen the transformation that Matt did previously. He had a great transformation. It was brilliant, and he really came in very nicely. But the leaner that we got, his upper body was absolutely fantastic.
faded.
Very joy, very full. His peak was great, but when he did his back double, his upper body looked great. He had no ass, no hamstrings.
See,
Literally,
I actually see that more often now. Not having glutes isn't as much of an issue because you'll probably get the corners, so just wear a bigger pair of trunks. Not having hamstrings looks way worse than not having glutes. You can get away with minimal glute, just wear a bigger trunk. But if
yeah,
you've got shit hamstrings, you're a lazy bastard. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, do some kind of hinge, do your leg curls properly. Don't just chuck them at the end of your leg session and be like, oh, it's like, if you
Mm,
can't see them, if you can't feel them, then every guys I see doing hamstring curls, and they're just like lying hamstring curls and just throwing it to their butt and then letting it drop. You're
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, mate.
Oh, goodness. Oh, I remember years ago, and I'm talking about years ago, this was probably about 15 years ago, actually, when I was actually a PT on the gym floor, private gym, trained out of Manchester. And there was a PT there, and it was a lying leg curl. And all he did was put his hand on the person's back just to stop their hips, obviously, coming up. And it's like, so you're not actually giving this person any kind of cue to
No.
use their hamstring at all. You're literally just putting your hand on their lower back, which means fuck all. It's not
No.
going to do anything. If you are not contracting your glutes as tight as possible before dragging your hamstring up, you're not working your hamstring.
I see
And
a lot of people argue the other way for that because obviously when you do contract your glutes and hamstring curl, it makes it way harder.
well,
And
yeah,
people
cool.
people are there like, oh, but you can't load the hamstrings hard. It's like you're getting a better contraction. It's harder to do, so you don't need to punish the shit out of your knees. But I see guys moving a whole fucking stack on a hamstring curl, and they
Mm,
haven't got very deep separated hamstrings, and you're like, and they're not managing to obviously hold the weight in the contraction, it'll just get there and flop down. And you're just like, oh, but so and so does it. It's like, no, I can see when that bodybuilder that you referenced who's got giant hamstrings, I can
mm.
see him contract the muscle and control the weight down. You are just throwing it around. It's a big difference.
It's a massive difference. But
Yeah.
people, again, they just kind of think, oh, well, if I move weight, then I'm going to gain more muscle mass. And that's completely wrong. It
Mm.
really does not. Your muscle mass realistically should reflect the weights that you are lifting on a number of things. But there's this constant argument that I get barraged with saying that a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. Well, I completely disagree with that because I've got a 50-kilo power lifter who can deadlift 250 for reps in the gym. And she is a small, tiny person with no muscle mass
Well,
because strength is neurological.
exactly. Look at I'll say it now. Look how many of the natty guys are stupidly strong. Like
Mm,
7 plates aside on a hack squat on the Cybex Mark One, and they weigh sub 200 pounds. And you're
mm.
like, you're getting it wrong. Like, I don't
Some,
care about, you want to talk about genetics. I can tell you have no connection to your quads, and a lot of them come up onto their heels as well when they're in the stretch. Like, so you're nuking your knees, you're nuking your Achilles just to move more weight.
mm,
Because that's what when you come up onto your heels, you can move more weight. You just can.
yeah.
Granted, there's an argument of like you'll get more hip knee flexion and that sort of thing. Like, yes, of course you will, but you're also compromising your joint integrity at that point. Like, it is for most people not the smartest thing to do. Oh well, I've trained it. It's still not smart. It may go ping one day. There is a bigger danger anyway, regardless of that. If you've got 7 plates aside on a hack squat and you're shifting it for 6 to 8 good reps and you aren't very big,
Mm. Possibly something going wrong.
it's not genetics. You're just doing it wrong.
Yeah,
You're
that's it.
not feeling that muscle. You have got insanely strong. Like you've progressed that logbook, and that is incredibly admirable.
Mm.
But you haven't. The goal of being the biggest bodybuilder you can be has not been achieved. You've chased your ego. You've done the
Mm.
thing which is like, oh well, I have to get stronger to get bigger. No, you have to get better at placing stimulus on a muscle group.
Yeah.
And they are obviously you got like, oh, but guys who are massive, they have the propensity to get really strong. Yes and no,
Mm.
because a lot of really, really big dudes will be insanely tight. So
Yeah.
are you going to ask a 300-pound guy if he can still do a flat barbell bench or like still do a conventional deadlift or still do a conventional squat? Like the majority of them can't.
No.
Uh, and they can, but they what they can do is the machines that they fit in, or whichever exercise they fit in, and they will punish the living shit out of that muscle. You ask them about rep ranges, they'll be like, I'm just
Yeah.
going to do this today,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and nobody's writing it down.
Mm.
They're just going, "Yeah, I trained quads,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now they're fucked,"
No,
and that's it. And I'm going to go home and eat,
of the
and like,
week.
and all this, the nerdy stuff that the papers, this, that, and the other, which people have taken exercise science papers and tried to apply it to bodybuilding. And it's like, look, bodybuilding as a form is not track cycling. It's not running. We're not looking to quantify how much glucose is used in each workout in order to then effectively fuel it so you can do it better because we're not measuring in speed. We're not even needing to measure in kilos how much weight you've lifted in the session. It's how much have you fucked up that muscle group,
Mm.
and like can you then recover from it within the next time that you are going to train. And fun enough, the onus is on you as when you train it next. So
Yeah.
like there isn't a case of I just got to be ready within 3 days. It's like
Yeah.
yeah, more frequency you can basically pummel the shit out of something. The more frequently you can do that, the more likely it is to grow quicker. But
Mm.
it,
See, this was the whole thing that I put on my live on Monday, yesterday, because it was all about the frequency versus the volume debate. And the thing is, right, when you come down to frequency, nobody can argue the fact that wellness athletes obviously have the biggest legs in comparison to any other bodybuilder out there and any other bodybuilding class because of the fact that they literally just train legs. They train legs. However, the volume in those sessions are
super,
very, very different. That it is super low because your frequency has got to be the amount that you can recover from. So it's like when we put you on your leg rotation in order to grow your legs, or even your chest rotation, the very first time that we actually did a growth phase, and you were hitting your chest 3 times a week, the volume on your chest itself was actually very low. But the fact is that the frequency you could recover from, and that's the reason why you grew. It has to come down to a recoverable amount. Frequency on its own does not pose the biggest impact in terms of muscle growth. And it really doesn't. Your nutrients have got to be on point because if you train a muscle group, but then actually think, oh, I'll just delay my food or I'll have a little bit less because I've done a little bit less volume at this point, and this kind of, you're not going to recover by the time the next session of hitting that particular muscle group comes through. So, and again, it comes down to even things like limb length, and the physiological environment of the athlete himself. Like if I said to you, when you went through that massive stressful period for at least those 4 weeks where your stress was sky high, and I said to you, do you know what? We're going to grow your fucking delts. So we're going to do delts 3 times a week, possibly 4, by adding them onto the end of one of your sessions. No way would you have recovered from that. And your delts, well, delts in general, is a very small muscle group. But the fact is, even if it was low frequency, the physiological environment that you were exposed to at that point, you would not have recovered from it because you weren't assimilating your food anyway.
yeah, exactly. That is the problem. Like if you're not able to do all the processes properly because of any factor that's going to contribute towards that inability to do that, then yeah, pushing frequency isn't exactly, it's dependent. But this is any scientific argument is going to have its assumptions.
Yeah.
And a lot of people work on that basis of assumptions of being like, well, the more frequent you can hit it, the better. So no, no, really no. Why? Especially if you've got like, because the problem is obviously there's all trickle down knowledge, isn't it? So people go, oh, what gets them put in an F1 car gets put in a road car. It's like, no, not really. Some bits, which is you can transfer some bits from what pros do to natural to lifestyle guys.
Yeah.
But for instance, as you say, wellness girls, train legs 4 times a week and maybe do a smidge of upper body.
Mm.
If you were to do that with someone that had a job as a farmhand,
Mm.
you'd fuck them up. Their back would be fucked. They'd have no knees left. Like if you've got a really physical job, you just can't do that. And
No.
like, or if you even if you're working in an office and you're having to commute, you're going up and down stairs all the time, and then you're sat in at a desk for from 8:30 till 5:30. Like,
Mm.
so you're gonna do a bit of walking, or maybe you train first thing in the morning, and then you're stationary for hours on end. It's like that body is just gonna go.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I know. I've got a client, and he does nearly 50,000 steps a day because he works. I know it's horrendous. And he's like, I asked him what was his training program like previously, and he sent it to me, and it's a 6 day split, and he does cardio on the seventh day, as well as obviously doing all of those additional bits. And guess how much he was eating?
like 2,500 calories.
Yeah, 2,400.
Yeah, no time to eat.
Yeah. Well, no, he had time to eat. He just wanted to lose weight. But it's like I said to him, mate, your system is literally in shutdown because you are not.
I have had somebody talk to me on Instagram who did very similar things. He was like, "Oh yeah, I just love walking." I was like, "No, you've got a compulsion.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you've got something wrong with you. If you won't stop walking all day, you'd wake up at 4 a.m. and have to just walk all day. 50,000 steps. You're doing like half a marathon."
Easily. I mean, it was just his job, because he's an on-site inspector, so he has to go up and down cranes and like, downstairs, and I'm walking around all of that site aspect and that kind of stuff. So he is on his feet from like 6 until 8.
I have mates who work in construction. They don't walk that much.
Mm. I sent me a screenshot of it. I was just like, mate,
I'm
just.
not surprised that he's doing it, but he's also walking too fucking much. I'm surprised he's not having to change his socks like 4 times a day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's obviously got terrible ankles and he's got plantar fasciitis and all the rest of it. And it's just like, well, I'm not really surprised because he's got cracked heels. And cracked heels obviously is a big sign of stress, but it's also a sign that, or sometimes it can be a sign of liver deficiencies, where your liver is not actually reaching, as in like the blood flow and that kind of stuff. It's all a bit more sciencey than people expect. But he was doing some reading and he just said, "Oh, I'm worried that my liver isn't working." I'm like, mate, it's not the fact that it's your liver. It's the fact that you're just clocking up 50,000 steps every day and training, doing cardio on your day off.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that, and you're undefeated. You're
Yeah.
literally
Like no wonder you're putting on weight. You just put on water.
Exactly, and he does. Unfortunately, he didn't look in the greatest of shapes. But I put him up, started feeding him efficiently, put him straight the way up to 4,000 calories on a daily basis. So he's got a linear base intake because it's absolutely pointless giving him an undulating intake, as in like training days and non-training days. It is a linear base intake. It covers all of his minerals, all of his nutrients, all of the phytonutrients that he does need in his polyphenols for recovery. We have had to supplement on a number of things just because I can't get the amount of zinc into him that I need. So we've had to just supplement with zinc, which is fine. But yeah, within the first like 2 weeks, he lost 10 pounds.
Yeah. From
Yeah,
eating
amazing,
more,
isn't it?
nearly double the amount. 10
Yeah,
pounds.
and now he's only training 4 days a week and he's got zero cardio because this is basic physiology. And people are
Well,
always feel like their minds are always so blown. They're just like, how can I lose weight eating more and doing less? It's like, because your body doesn't like it.
yeah. Well, it's like, you get bikini girls doing 2 hours of cardio on a prep and having 50 micrograms of T3 every day, as well as how much clan. And they're like, oh, I just can't seem to lose weight. It's like, yeah, well, someone's put you in outfits and trying to get on stage. Like, it's, except in outfits they didn't have T3. So,
Yeah, exactly. They just starved. But this is the whole thing about, calories in versus calories out. The Seco myth has been debunked. I hope people are still actually listening to it, and the fact that is, they don't just pay attention to calories. Because like I said, it does come down to nutrient quality and your entire mineral balance. Has to.
concrete has calories.
Mm.
You could eat a desk. It's not going to nutritionally be valuable to you.
No, absolutely. But it does come down to that nutrient deficiency aspect. And if you are deficient, then your liver isn't going to function, your kidneys aren't going to function, your gallbladder is not going to produce bile. All of these things all play a key component. So when people do say to me, oh, I'm suffering with this and my B12 is through the roof and I don't have any vitamin D, even though I'm supplementing with 5,000 IUs. Well, does that not seem weird to you that you're supplementing with 5,000 IUs of vitamin D and yet you're vitamin D deficient? That means you're not absorbing it. Funny,
Oh,
right?
maybe it must be fake. It's like, no, it's the actual internal process. It's like when guys taking gear, and whichever thing is going on with them, they're like, oh, my testosterone's really low. And they're like, well, yeah, you fucked. Like, your body's not working properly. So it's like at the end of preps and stuff, and guys are like, oh, my test is only at 30. And you're there like, yeah, because you've got no body fat. You've been doing an hour of cardio every day and eating basically fuck all for the
Mm,
past few months. Like, yet no wonder your body's not efficiently metabolizing those drugs in your body and putting them to use properly.
mm,
So,
yeah.
and then, which then stands, they'd be, oh, I need more then. It's like, no, you need less because it's not absorbing them anyway.
That's it. You know, it does come down to specificity. So let's take your meal plan as an example. I had a look at your meal-based plan. We had a chat, and I was like, cool, let's obviously get some more calcium in before you actually go and train, because that's really important for the contraction coupling of the muscle. So let's do that. But I didn't just want to give you milk because one, it might taste like fucking terrible in that meal that you also had. But it's an easier bolus dose of calcium without a huge amount of calories if I was to just give you skim milk powder. So you've got your skim milk powder, you whack that in alongside your whey. So that is a complete amount of calcium. I can't remember off the top of my head how much I gave you. Was it like 25 grams or something? Yeah. So it's like that equates to about 2,000 milligrams of calcium, which is exactly everything that you need.
To be
And then we
fair, I am the guy that can just drink whole milk and it's not a problem.
Yes, which is perfect. So we can do that.
Yeah.
We can add 2 milk in, which is lovely. But again, when it also came to increasing other variables, we obviously needed to up your juice. So we literally gave you orange juice, and much to people's dismay because they were thinking, "Oh, Alex is going to have more gear." It's like, no, no, it's just orange juice.
Well, for those in asking, I am on a whole gram at the minute.
Shock,
Good
fucking
day.
horror. I mean, to be fair, considering that you won your pro card on what? Was it 300 milligram?
No, half.
Half.
400 primo, 100 test.
Oh, there you go. So 500 milligram, you won your pro card on. Now the fact that you're up
Oh,
to is just
with
like,
you still get people like, oh, but you did more before though, and I was like, yeah, and it fucked me up. Like, what do you want?
yeah,
Like, it's they refuse to accept the fact that you'd grown to a certain size. Like, I was 108 kilos natural, like,
mm,
and you guys are getting to what 85, and you're like, I need the gear.
mm. Yeah, I know it's silly. It really is silly.
It's
But
fun.
when we're talking about specificities for people, you have specifics that I put into your meal plan because I knew that it would work from a physiological perspective alongside all the gear that you have. If you have a shit ton of gear and you don't have a complete nutrient profile, where do you think that gear is going to go? It's
Mm.
not going to do anything for you because your internal physiology is not going to work with you. It's going to work against you because you
Oh,
are poison in your body. People forget that.
when people think performance enhancing drug, you've got to consider the fact that your nutrition is part of your performance, but it's not going to make it better. You've got to make it, if you want those drugs to be more efficient, you've got to do more. It's also the same guys that they get an injury and they just leave it. And they're like, oh, I'll stop doing exercise then. It's like, okay, so you're not going to ever train your back again, your lower back, because you've got an issue with it. So rather than thinking, oh, I better make my processes better, maybe get better at training, start doing a bit of mobility work, actually do some stretching, go and get a massage, you think, no, I'm too good for that.
Yeah,
However,
exactly. I
it's
just
like, so if you're and then it comes down to the fact, oh, well, the genetics is amazing. It's like, no, the guys who are really good or whatever they do, they cover every single base as
mm,
well as they can. It's not just a case of, oh, well, I'm really good at training, oh, I'm really good at eating, really good at this, that, the other. It's like, no, everything gets done because
mm,
as you get better at this, there are more boxes to tick and you have to get better at ticking them.
yeah.
So, like, when people are like, oh, it's genetics, it's like, all right, the fucking 12 years of work minimum that counts for nothing.
I know it's
you
silly.
know,
It really, really is silly.
yeah,
But
which
these
is
marginal differences they make a big thing. Can I share my screen and I can actually show a picture, or can I send the picture to you and you can share it on the podcast if people are watching the YouTube?
I don't know.
I
Participant.
I don't know either. I'll just forward this to you and then you can see if you can actually put it up or whatever when we talked about it.
Put it on
So
WhatsApp.
yeah, I'll send it on WhatsApp. So this is a guy called Jordan, and he's actually just like a part-time kind of play around bodybuilder. If you want to superimpose it, then that's cool. But when he first came to me, he basically said that he liked my approach of having a low drug approach to certain preps and that kind of stuff as well. But again, I'm just going to preface this by saying I am not a low drug approach in its entirety. If I have a heavyweight bodybuilder that wants to become a super heavyweight bodybuilder, then guess what? Their drug load is going to be higher, and I'm very good at manipulating drugs. Sometimes it can get disgustingly high to the point where when we're going over 2.5 gram, I'm like, twitchy bum time. But we have to obviously talk to them in terms of, health derivatives and that kind of thing. Jordan here, he basically wants to get bigger. He has not run a cycle with me as of yet because he doesn't need to. We're literally just plowing him with food, plowing him with intensity-based training. He also trains 3 days on, 3 days off because he is a night shift worker. So he has to work 3 nights on the trot and then he has 3 days off. So he trains in his days off. So when it comes to shift working nutrition patterns as well, that's where it really has to become a fine art because nocturnally, humans are not supposed to be eating. We're supposed to be sleeping. So again, we've got to take recovery markers into effect with him. We've already discussed what we're going to be doing with his cycle. He has literally ran really small doses in the past, never really gone over a gram. So, but the meal plan that we've put together for him, because he was a typical bro, it was oats and eggs in the morning, it was chicken and eggs 3 times a day, and then it was something else in the evening.
It's just easy.
It's easy to prepare and that
Drop
kind
more box, learn to cook, you lazy fuck. Like,
And that is exactly what he said to me. I like things for simplicity. I want things that are easy to do. And it's like, do you know what, Jay? I really appreciate this. However, this is what we're going to do from a physiological perspective because I want your nutritional status to be bang on because that way we can enhance everything through food and then we can just sprinkle the little bits of bobs in on top when it comes to obviously doing your gear.
I don't understand why guys say, "Oh, it's really simple." I
Mm.
don't understand what they don't find simple about just like putting a bit of turmeric on rice or cooking something that isn't chicken.
It's
Like,
effort.
cooking salmon is not hard.
No,
Is it the additional washing up?
I don't know. But
What
that's
is
what air
it?
fryers were made for.
Huh?
That's what air fryers were made for.
Exactly. But the air fryer exists and they're still eating the same shit. It's every excuse gets thrown out because blokes do this. Blokes do this every time. It's
Mm.
like, why don't you do that? It's like, don't want to.
And that's all it is. Oh, I'm so bored with my meal plan. Well, then you haven't got one that you can sustainably eat throughout off season. Throughout off season, realistically, yes, there has to be some diversity. Yes, there has to be some changes because your gut likes diversity. And you can only get so many amounts of meals in or food sources in over a course of 5 meals in an off season. So yes, it should be rotated. However, the main basis of everything should contain all of your minerals. I'm huge on minerals, as you know, but it should contain all of your minerals. And then realistically, it should just grow with you. Now, if you're an assisted athlete, you need more minerals because you burn through them quicker. We discussed this one in the last one, didn't we? So you need more minerals because of the fact, and especially if you're on insulin or growth, you're going to need even fucking more. Why?
Everybody's on growth these days. So
Exactly. So, again, if you're assisted, you need more. But with that, you're going to sweat more. You're going to sweat more with insulin. What do you lose when you sweat?
electrolyte.
Electrolytes. So you're going to need more fucking
I
electrolytes when you.
believe so, bruv.
Yeah, but otherwise, you're going to end up at the end of your 2 hour session because, you train arm for 2 hours. And then when you come to like that last set of cable curls on your bicep exercise, you get no contraction and you get no feeling from it. And it's because you literally have run out of electrolytes.
Well, that's probably because you did 5 arm exercises just for your biceps.
Yeah. And then you can't do it anyway. But when you run out of potassium and you run out of sodium, you haven't got, you can't have a pump. You just don't have it because you sweat like a mofo, so you've lost all of your sodium. And it doesn't matter how much you're obviously taking in intra-workout. Yeah, but I have 5 grams of salt intra-workout. Well, why are you still not getting a contraction? Because you're pissing it out through your skin. Your skin is the largest living organ in your human body. So of course you're going to perspire everything out of every pore. So, and especially with insulin, you sweat more. So think about that kind of balance the next time you go in.
Honestly, eating more food, my butt sweat at the minute. Fuck me, it's constant. I'm just like, you sit down and you're like, fuck's sake. It's
It is very hot though.
it is hot at the minute, but even so,
Mm.
it's not
You are
pleasant.
a sweaty man.
Well, but I always have been.
Mm.
Even when I was a kid, like when I was a rower, and it was just like fucking hell, I'm sweating a lot more than the other guys. But
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least I drank a lot more milk.
Yes, much better. Milk is an excellent hydrator.
Is it?
Yeah, massive,
Just doesn't
massive.
have the associated taste because everyone's there like blue drink hydration,
Yes.
orange drink hydration.
Nah, absolutely not. You know, milk is one of the best hydrators that you can ever have. It
My
really, really,
favorite, my favorite Eddie Hall line is the full English breakfast is the most nutritious meal you could ever have.
why? Yeah.
He
I
just
just
says it. He says it. He doesn't explain it.
the thing is that Eddie Hall, bless him, he also says that he's lactose intolerant, drinks lactose-free milk and
Fucking loves
out,
chocolate.
2 bars of dairy milk every day. It's like, so you're not lactose intolerant, are you really?
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah.
Although
We,
everyone I know that is lactose intolerant, they just take a lactase pill and they're like, yeah, it's fine.
yeah, you're not lactose intolerant, then are you really?
Well, yeah, because
Um,
you'd have like a whiff of ice cream and be like, I must go to the toilet now, and
yeah,
I'll be there for
exactly.
3 hours.
My way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those. I mean, I don't know how we got onto this conversation with gut health and stuff, but
We
um,
started. It's been the whole time.
we've not done too bad then.
No, not bad at all.
I haven't done too bad. Okay, well, I'm going to go because I have mentoring, as per the always. This is probably not going to go up before we announce the leg day winner, is it?
When are you doing that?
In 3 days' time on Friday.
I could get it up for them.
Oh yeah, could you?
Yeah.
Have you put the other one up though?
Yeah, it was already up.
Oh, is it? All right, fine. Oh yeah,
I've
so
got I've got my own YouTube video that I've recorded that I'm in the process of editing that I need to get up as well.
okay, sound. So Alex
Busy
has got
week.
lots of work to do, many lots. But if you do listen to this before Friday, then go on to the original post that is shared with me and Alex in terms of winning a leg day. If you do wish to have a leg day with ourselves, and no, we are not just running you through a session. We are actually going to analyze everything to do with your legs so you can learn to train them efficiently. You can grow them, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm. That's fun.
Anywho, yes, it'll be fun.
All right. Well, we'll see you in the next one.
You will?
Any questions anybody has, just shoot us a DM on Instagram because it always adds to the podcast.
Yes, which is always nice.
Yes. All right. Bye bye.
Okay.